Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another Teacher Joseph podcast. Today's phrase is concrete jungle. Concrete jungle, and we use this phrase to talk about any place which is built up. When I say built up, I mean a place with too many concrete buildings, a place which is covered in buildings rather than nature. Now, cities are concrete jungles, although in the UK, they're not quite that bad. Even in London, for example, if you walk around, you can find some lovely green parks amid the concrete jungles. Now, you can use this in singular or plural. You can talk about concrete jungles in your city, or you can describe your city as a concrete jungle. Around the UK, in order to avoid places becoming concrete jungles, they often put gardens on the top of skyscrapers. Now, we don't have that many skyscrapers around the UK. In the cities, we have some tall buildings. Some of them are residential and some of them aren't. In America, in cities like New York or Washington, you can see a lot of skyscrapers, and they would be good examples of concrete jungles. In the singular, we can say, oh, Washington looks like a concrete jungle, or we could say, oh, there's a lot of concrete jungles in this city, especially if you come across a green place which seems to separate out the concrete jungle from nature. Now, I have to say that where I live is a little bit of a concrete jungle, but you don't have to walk very far to find some nature. The government have their local offices here, and in these local offices, many people work. So there's 2 tower blocks which belong to the government. There's also 2 shopping malls. I think the problem is that in Victorian times, they built a lot of old buildings, and people try to reuse those buildings rather than build new ones. But because there's all these old stone buildings, the place really does look a little bit like a concrete jungle. Well, maybe I can say that there's a few concrete jungles around here. In contrast to concrete jungles, the nature around the UK can be really, really beautiful. But more and more people are complaining that nature and green spaces are disappearing, and that our country is becoming a lot like a concrete jungle. I remember when I was a little boy, my grandparents and my parents, they had open fires. They used to burn coal at home. They had a little place in the room for a fire, and the smoke would go out the chimney on the top of the house. Somewhere in the late 80s and early 90s, the government passed a law to try to purify the air to make the place more environmentally friendly. At the same time, a lot of companies here, which used to pump smoke into the air, also were ordered to use non-fossil fuel. As a direct result of all of that, the air is more pure. The green spaces seem to be healthier, and there's less of a feeling of a concrete jungle than before. Having said all of that, though, we do still have a really built-up kind of feeling because the streets are narrow and nobody really knows what to do with the older buildings. Many of them are lying empty. In British culture, we also have another phrase. We sometimes say, "Oh, it's a jungle out there," meaning that the people and things that we have to deal with every day can be a little bit challenging. And we can use that phrase not only to talk about the problems of driving, but also the problems of people. People at work, people in our team, people in other places. We can often say, "Oh, it's a jungle out there." So concrete jungle is how we describe the built-up areas which don't seem to have any nature. And "it's a jungle out there" is referring generally to the dangers which you might face every day, both physically and mentally. Now, one very good song which describes all of this is a song by Joni Mitchell, and it's called Big Yellow Taxi. Maybe you know it because it has the words, "They paved paradise, put up a parking lot." To pave, of course, means to create a driveway or a footpath. So she's saying in this song, they paved paradise and put up a parking lot. A parking lot in American English means car park, but Americans call it parking lots. So they paved paradise and they put up a parking lot with a pink hotel, a boutique, and a swinging hot spot. So Joni Mitchell, in her song Big Yellow Taxi, is telling us here that they've taken a beautiful place, which she calls paradise, and they've covered it in concrete. Joni Mitchell, in this song Big Yellow Taxi, then goes on to tell us, in bad English, she says, "Don't it always seem to go?" Which means, isn't it always like this? Of course, she should have said, doesn't it always seem to go? That you don't know what you've got till it's gone. They paved paradise and put up a parking lot. So she's telling us, isn't it always the way that you don't know what you've got until it's gone? They've paved paradise and put up a car park. And then Joni tells us, they took all the trees and they put them in a tree museum. And they charged the people $1.50 just to see them. And then she says again, isn't it always like that? Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone? They paved paradise and put up a parking lot. And then she goes on and she gives lots of other examples. And she says, "Hey farmer, put away that chemical," which she calls DDT. I don't know what that is. I'm sure it's a chemical of some kind. And she says, "Give me spots on my apples," you know, the fruit. "But leave me the birds and the bees, you know, leave me nature." And then she says again, "Isn't it always like that you don't know what you've got till it's gone? They paved paradise and put up a parking lot. Now, people who care about the environment, as Joni Mitchell did back then, I don't know if she still does. In fact, I don't even know if she's still alive. But people who care a lot about the environment are called eco-warriors. Eco-warriors. And sometimes in my town, I see little stickers or graffiti that they've made. Now, graffiti in English is a bad word. If someone uses graffiti, it's a criminal offense. It's not a piece of art to be admired, it's graffiti. It's bad. If they do something with permission, then it's a piece of art. But graffiti itself is always used in a kind of a negative way. So a lot of graffiti around my town that I see is protesting against concrete jungles. And sometimes the signs say, oh, this place is a concrete jungle, or people aren't doing enough to fix the problem of the environment. And these things have been placed there by eco-warriors. So, let me just recap. A concrete jungle is a place which is full of concrete. You can find some nice green spaces which separate out concrete jungles. So you can use the singular or the plural to refer to your city having concrete jungles or being like one big concrete jungle. There's plenty of examples around the UK of what a concrete jungle looks like, and I'm sure in your country also. Well, that's it from me today. I hope you've enjoyed this little talk about a concrete jungle. Well, I'm outside sitting in a coffee shop which is right in the middle of the concrete jungle of my town. I would like to walk along the river, but then I wouldn't really be eating while I'm walking, so I prefer to sit here in this concrete jungle, and then maybe I'll take a little walk later. It's a beautiful day here in the UK. If you get the chance, do enjoy some sunshine. See you. Bye.